for this example, we're going to look at solving a trigonometric identity. Now, this is one of the ones directly from the homework, and I want to kind of walk you through to see where some of you might be struggling. You can kind of look at your work versus mine, and we can kind of go from there. So the biggest thing here is, before I even started this, I don't know what the solution is. So I'm coming at it exactly like you guys are. If this was a problem kind of picked randomly and put in from an old trigonometric textbook. So I don't know the answer. However, what I did is I looked for, excuse me, to see if they're going to be equal to each other. So I chose when we have sine of 0 and when we have cosine of 0. And one of the things that I found was that these two things are not equal to each other. So one of the very first things I noticed is that this is not going to be equal, this is not going to work. That being said, we can walk through the steps and show that this is not going to work. So the left-hand side looks a lot more complicated, so let's start there. There's nothing here that I can really simplify. This looks like it kind of might look like a Pythagorean thing a little bit later, but it doesn't yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two things together. So I need to get my common denominator, and in my case, my common denominator is going to be cosine of y times 1 plus sine of y. Okay? And I'm going to have 2 and sine of y. Alright, so I know that this is my common denominator, so what I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to multiply just like I would back in college algebra. So I get 1 plus sine of y squared, which is going to give me sine squared of y, plus 2 sine of y, and then plus 1, and then I'm going to get plus cosine squared of y, because I'm essentially almost in this way cross-multiplying. Okay, so all I did was I added these two together, found the common denominator. So here, I'm going to look and see what I can maybe simplify. So I'm going to keep my right-hand side the same for now. Now, I notice here that 2 over the sine of y is something else. It's going to be my cosecant. So if my left-hand side is going to end up as 2 times the cosecant, then I'm okay. But at the moment, I'm just leaving my right-hand side alone. So something I can simplify up here is that sine squared plus cosine squared, sine squared of y plus cosine squared of y is giving me 1. So what this is going to simplify into is 2 sine of y plus 1, which gives me plus 2. And this is still divided by cosine of y, 1 plus sine of y. Okay, now I notice here that I have a greatest common factor that I can pull out. So with these, I'm going to pull out my 2, leaving me 2 times sine of y plus 1 over cosine of y plus 1 plus sine, or not plus, times 1 plus sine of y. And this is still equal to 2 over sine of y. And now I notice here, I can cancel these out from the top and the bottom, giving me 2 over cosine of y is equal to 2 over sine of y, which is not true. So in this case, this is one of those trigonometric identities that when I check at the very beginning, I notice that it doesn't work. So in this case, this identity isn't true, which is where I think some of you might be getting stuck. If you notice at the beginning, or on these numbers on the homework, these say verify them, or if you can't verify them, find a value which makes these things not true. So that's the very first step I would try to do, is plug in something that's very simple. You know, if you have sine and cosine, it's really easy. Just be careful that you're not having something where like your cosine on the bottom is equal to 0, because when that happens, you're going to have some issues with infinity. So, you know, maybe think about pi over 2, or think about pi for these. Okay, so that's another example of an